You and I spend countless hours trying to get better at things, right? But what if the way we've all been taught to practice is actually holding us back? What if the very structure of our textbooks, our training drills, is designed to make us worse in the long run? Well, it turns out there's a practice method that feels confusing, it feels difficult, but science shows it's over 200% more effective.
Just think about the last time you learned something from a book, especially something like math. You open it up and the structure is always the same. You get a chapter on one concept, and it's followed by a whole block of problems all on that one single thing.
So you'll do 40 problems on quadratic equations. Then you turn the page and you do 40 problems on factoring. We call this blocked practice. And it feels so logical, doesn't it? You get into a rhythm, you master one thing, then you move to the next. It feels smooth, it feels like you're making progress. But here's the kicker. That feeling of progress, it's your brain lying to you.
And we know this because of a fascinating study by researchers Rower and Taylor. They took a group of students, and instead of letting them practice in these neat blocks, they just shuffled all the problems together. 1 week later, the students who practiced with the shuffled problems, they retained 215% more information. I mean, think about that. Not 15%, not 25%, 215%. It's just a staggering number.
So, what is going on here? How can a method that feels more frustrating, that leads to worse performance in the moment, create such a huge advantage just 1 week later? It's a paradox, and we're going to unravel it right now.
Okay, so let's put some official names to these methods. Blocked practice is what we all know. You drill one skill at a time. A, then B, B, B. Interleave practice is the opposite. You mix or shuffle multiple related skills in the same session. But the most crucial point here is the feeling. Blocked practice gives you this illusion of fluency, while interleaving just feels like a struggle.
And this chart right here, it perfectly illustrates that feeling. In that same geometry study, during the actual practice session, the blocked group absolutely crushed it. They scored an average of 89%. The interleaved group, meanwhile, was struggling, making more mistakes, only scoring 60%. If you stopped the experiment right there, you'd bet all your money on blocked practice. You'd say it's the obvious winner.
But fast forward 1 week, and the results completely flip on their head. That high-flying blocked group, their score plummeted to just 20% retention. Meanwhile, the struggling interleaved group retained an impressive 63%. That 89% score was smoke and mirrors. It was an illusion. The real, durable, sticky learning, that happened during the struggle.
So, what is happening in the brain that makes this struggle so incredibly effective? Well, it all comes down to a skill that blocked practice completely, and I mean completely, ignores.
The key concept is something called discrimination learning. See, with blocked practice, you never have to ask, what kind of problem is this? The chapter title already told you. You're just executing a known procedure over and over. But when the problems are all shuffled up, your brain is forced to first identify the problem type and then choose the right solution. That first step, that discrimination, is the most critical skill for the real world because life never ever labels its problems for you.
You know, here's the best analogy I've ever heard for this. Blocked practice is like a basketball player shooting 100 free throws in a row, then 100 three-pointers. They get really good at those specific shots in a controlled setting. Interleaving, that's like playing a real game where you have to react to a mix of layups, three-pointers, and free throws in a totally random, unpredictable order. Now, which of those two players do you think is going to perform better when the championship is on the line? And listen, this isn't just some weird math trick. Studies show this principle works everywhere. In art, students got 30% better at identifying an artist's style just by mixing up the paintings. In baseball, players hit 25% better in actual games when they practiced against random pitches. For motor skills, kids were 43% better at new tasks. The principle is universal. Mixing things up builds flexible, real-world skills.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, I'm sold. How do I actually do this? Because it's not quite as simple as just throwing everything into a blender. Let's look at how to do it right and what common mistakes to avoid.
So, there are 3 really common mistakes. First, don't mix totally unrelated topics. You want to mix different types of math formulas, not math and history. The skills have to be related for your brain to learn how to tell them apart. Second, don't fall into the trap of thinking you have to master one skill before you start mixing. Nope. The mixing is how you achieve mastery. And most importantly, number 3, do not quit when it gets hard. That feeling of struggle, of confusion, that means it's working.
In the classroom, this is an absolute game changer. Instead of doing chapters 3, 4, and 5, one after the other, create a mixed problem set from all three. And for learning a new language? Stop drilling verb tenses in blocks. Mix past, present, and future sentences together from day one. This forces your brain to look for context clues, like yesterday or tomorrow, just like you would in a real conversation.
This is just as powerful for athletes and musicians. A tennis player should be practicing a random mix of forehands, backhands, and serves to simulate a real point. And a pianist, instead of spending 20 minutes on scales and then 20 minutes on their piece, should try 5-minute cycles. 5 minutes of scales, 5 of arpeggios, 5 on the repertoire, and then repeat. Each switch forces a mental reset and strengthens recall, just like in a real performance.
So, if you're going to remember just one thing from all of this, what should it be? Well, it's a complete shift in how you think about the purpose of practice itself.
The goal is really simple. Your practice should mirror the final performance as much as possible. Real life is unpredictable, it's messy, it's mixed up. A smooth, clean, blocked rehearsal just doesn't prepare you for that reality.
So the next time you're practicing something and you feel confused or frustrated because you keep having to switch gears, don't see it as a sign that you're failing. You have to see it for what it is. That is the feeling of deep, durable learning taking root in your brain. That struggle? It's the feature, not a bug in the system.
The evidence is clear, the method is simple. The only thing left to do is actually apply it. So the real question is, how will you start shuffling the way you learn, the way you work, and the way you play?